Welcome back to NYSE TV Live, everyone. Kraken, a tech platform built on crypto, is looking to bridge decentralized finance and traditional finance and buoy these efforts with its recent purchase of NinjaTrader. Kraken's co-CEO Anjun Sethi joined JD Durkin last week to talk more about it. Let's take a look.
I think the part that's probably the most interesting is that you have what we call collateral, and the free movement of collateral is what we're most excited about. And so when you think about traditional finance, you have one company owning the experience and the collateral, then the next company owning the experience and the collateral, and it becomes a closed environment. And the great thing about crypto is that it's open, it's transparent, it's permissionless, and you're able to move your assets anywhere you want. And so if you think about how the world economy works, it's essentially access to capital, access to debt, and forward mobility. Crypto, the exchanges, Circle being listed in public today, is just a more of a movement in that direction where there's transparency for anybody that wants to participate in the crypto ecosystem.
How would you explain the importance of the collateral component about all of this to any viewer watching who maybe has a little bit of familiarity with the broader crypto space but is still actively trying to learn a lot more?
Yeah, I think if you go back to basics, look, here in the States, when we want to get access to a loan, right? You think about your debt to income ratio, you think about where your money is stored, equity, etc., your house. And so being able to assess risk is pretty standard. In crypto, you're able to do that plus more because it's able to be moved much further. So think about how you can get access to capital through whatever collateral you have. So if it's tokenized equities, which is coming out, if it's crypto, if it's wrapped real estate, all of these gives you the ability to start moving that forward. So what I'd say the developed and developing markets have moved in that direction. But if you want to have a leapfrog moment, the same way you think about a paradigm shift like mobile, where everyone in Africa, India, Indonesia, Latin America, all of these new emerging markets got access to mobile. Just think of all of these same folks getting access to stablecoins, U.S. treasuries, U.S. equities, etc.
The NinjaTrader acquisition is a really important company update as of late. Talk to me about how you see that particular move and acquisition fitting into the company's broader strategy.
So the way we think about Kraken is that we're building financial products for everybody. But in order to have crypto for everyone in every area and constituents participate, we need to be able to bridge the gap between traditional finance products and what we call decentralized finance products. And so we kind of sit in the middle between that. And so NinjaTrader acquisition was part of being able to bring traditional finance into the traditional contracts that we see for crypto, and vice versa, where you're able to start enable folks that are in traditional commodities thinking about just the way in which they think. What are the ways in which they can think about how to be able to trade crypto assets, again, crypto collateral, and move that forward? So for us, it's more about bridging the gap between what we see in decentralized finance and then centralized traditional finance.
What more should people know about how you're viewing the general tokenization space and any sort of real-world use cases that you're most excited about, Arjun?
We have real-world use cases already today. We're just used to it from a post-World War II brick-and-mortar system, which is real-world assets means equities, it means real estate, it means treasuries, it means bonds, and it means just like more accessibility to be able to invest into whatever the asset might be. When you think about tokenization, you're able to start thinking about how to be able to move all of these assets. And there was a Michael Milken's speech a long time ago when he talked about decentralization of finance in the 70s and the 80s. You can think of this now being like even more decentralized, but being much more evenly distributed across multiple constituents and populations worldwide.
Yeah, I want to ask you about U.S. futures and EU derivatives. What most excites you? What are the biggest opportunities, but also maybe some of the biggest challenges as you and the team at Kraken continue to make these push into these regulated markets?
Look, the biggest challenge is how do we get these products distributed worldwide? So we're used to it here in the U.S., we're used to it in Europe. When I say we're used to it, we're talking about customers, professional traders, etc. And so Kraken has been focused on professional traders. That's where our exchange had, garnered its life from, was those types of customers. And so as time has gone on, like, what do they empower people to do by being that counterparty? And so when you think about new regions like Asia that's growing very quickly, Latin America, etc., and having them participate in the US ecosystem, but even the European ecosystem, what's really important is that making sure that we're able to adhere to their regulations, but we're also able to adhere to our regulations. But again, getting to a place where you're able to distribute the products more freely than what we're traditionally used to in the United States.
There's no doubt the cryptocurrency landscape, you know better than anyone, it moves really quickly. And I wonder if you and I were to sit down for a comparable interview 1 year from now, what is one initiative or something that you're working on at Kraken that you hope most takes off 12 months from now?
So we recently announced that we were launching tokenized equities. And I think the reason why that becomes much more important is that today equities is pretty bifurcated, it's pretty fragmented. In some cases, liquidity is fragmented. So when you think about the global economy, the global world participating in global liquidity, that's an area that we're continually focused on. And given that we're an exchange with global liquidity for crypto, being able to access new assets that are traditional and being able to bridge that gap is like extremely exciting for us.
And finally, what most excites you, to stick with that same theme about Kraken's current innovation pipeline?
We care mostly about how to bring the rails and the technology of crypto to everyone. And so being able to bring, again, global liquidity, global assets, global collateral to be able to have forward mobility, that's the most exciting thing that we've been able to push.
All right, thanks again to Kraken co-CEO Arjun Sethi and JD Durkin for that interview.